Well, here we are again with another celebrity death that I'm really sad about. Hello everybody, welcome back to Meddling in Antiquity. My name is Teray, and Joel Schumacher died on June 22nd, 2020. Yeah. It's gonna be another one of those. Joel Schumacher, for those of you who are not in the know, is an incredible director. Was an incredible director. Directed one of my favorite movies of quite literally all time, The Lost Boys, judging by one of my 3 Lost Boys shirts. Where is it? Let me dig through here for a second, if you'll excuse me. My vinyl of the film's album, the DVD special edition 25th anniversary, tucked into 15th or 20th, I believe, tucked into my DVD case, and the CD that is in my CD case in my car. I'm a big Lost Boys fan. I also have some art up there. Yeah, huge Lost Boys fan. It was my 16th birthday theme. Joel Schumacher created something so original and so incredible with Lost Boys. And it really did shape how vampires were done and how they could be cool and sexy afterwards. I mean, because if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, vampires in media, you had Anne Rice's first book in the Vampire Chronicles coming out in 1978, Interview with the Vampire, followed in quick succession by Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned in 1983. Lost Boys came out in 1987. But that was the first time we'd really seen vampires on film in a really long time. And I'm not going to get too much into it because now I have to make a One-Off Wonders video about it relatively soon, or I'll die. Anyway, Joel Schumacher also introduced a new generation, a younger generation, to Andrew Lloyd Webber, because Joel Schumacher is also the brain behind the 2004 Phantom of the Opera film, which, regardless of how questionable the film was as a whole, you cannot deny that the visual impact of that movie was beyond anything that we'd ever really seen before. It was incredible, it was big, it was beautiful, and it so encapsulated the period in which it happens with this just over-the-top glamour and decadence. And it really did feel like Paris in the 1700s. I bought into it. You can believe it when you see that film and how it's done visually. Because he was an incredible visionary. He was very visual in his directing style. Which brings me to what many consider to be the lowest point in his directing career. At least to those of us who are big pop culture nerds. And that would be Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. It's the nipples on the batsuit. I think that was a miscalculation. It was gay, but it was a gay miscalculation. Certainly. But regardless of how hokey and campy and kind of dumb both of those movies were, you can't deny the casting was incredible. It's the only time we've seen Poison Ivy on film and done well. No shade to Gotham, but all of the shade to Gotham, and we'll get to that in serial scrutiny eventually. But the casts were amazing, with the exception of maybe George Clooney as Batman. Chris O'Donnell coming kind of fresh off of Three Musketeers in 1993 directly into playing Robin was a good choice. I really enjoyed Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Jim Carrey was a very enjoyable Riddler. We can all kind of acknowledge that. I have a massive crush on Uma Thurman because of Poison Ivy. Tommy Lee Jones was a very funny Two-Face, and I don't care what anybody says, he was hilarious. And that will be the hill I will die on. Most certainly. But you can't deny that regardless of the content and essentially what equates to an entire script made of just bad puns, 80% of them belonging to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the color contrasts and the visuals of those movies were so cool. You can't really deny that. The costumes were amazing. The color contrasts and, like, depending on where they are, were fantastic. And that's something that I think Joel Schumacher and Todd Haynes and Wes Anderson really all have in common, is that really cool high contrast color difference that all three of them tend to use in their films. But for Joel, there was something so decadent and lush about his style of filmmaking that I think is the reason why I've kind of been obsessed with Lost Boys for so long. Having been introduced to the movie, I believe when I was, maybe 14 years old, there's something about not just the vampires in it, because at the time I was also a raging Queen of the Damned fan, but there was something about how it was filmed, the beauty, like the fade-ins, the music, the visuals, the style of how it was shot, that drew me into that movie and continues to draw me in over and over and over and over again. And though this loss certainly does not kind of gut punch me as hard as the loss of Sir Ian Holm, this one does still hurt. Because Lost Boys really kind of changed my perspective of really what filmmaking could be. The Batman movies were kind of my first introduction to camp. And Phantom of the Opera was one of the reasons I love theater so much. And the visuals in Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again are very difficult for me to watch, because the emotion that scene creates is something that I feel too deeply to be able to watch it without immediately dissolving into an emotional mess. So his visuals have always really resonated with me. And just finding out this morning that he passed is a bit of a blow. But I'm very certain that his legacy will continue to endure through the incredible actors, the incredible talent that were in Lost Boys, including the late Ed Herman, the late Bernard Hughes, the late Brooke McCarter, Billy Wirth, Kiefer Sutherland, Alex Winter, Jason Patrick, the late Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Jameson Newlander, Jamie Gertz, Diane Weiss. And I'm really obsessed with Lost Boys. It's a bit of a problem, but the legacy he created will most certainly endure in the horror community. And being a part of that community and knowing quite a few people who are part of that community, I'm looking forward to when Sinister Creature Con finally comes back here in California. And it'll be a time for all of us who really love horror and who appreciate what Joel did for vampires in pop culture from the 80s onward to kind of come together and really process his loss as a community. So that's one thing I am very much looking forward to. So rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. You will be missed deeply. That about wraps us up for this short, and I will see everybody on Saturday for Serial Scrutiny. Bye.